The most difficult thing about trading is that it's a solo industry. While we're out there as traders, the folks that are watching this video, you guys are sitting there by yourself at your desk, at your computer, in your home office, on your kitchen table, trying to take those trades, trying to change your life. But there's no one there to tell you or give you the pat on your shoulder and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. You make mistakes. You're human. But it's all about being able to, see that sometimes, you're going to lose a sale. You're going to lose a job. You're going to break up with a partner, things like that. It's just a part of the process. And the sooner you realize that and accept it and don't make it personal, the better off you'll be.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1, for starting your day with calm intention. 1, to stay centered while you trade. And 1, to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description. Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hey guys, welcome back to Market Mamas, and I have another awesome episode with another trader. You guys know I love interviewing other traders because I think it's so valuable to hear what other people enjoy about trading, how they got into it, and actually how they push through the really difficult times. Because not gonna lie, I don't think you can actually be a consistent trader without having some really hard periods and then moving past them. So anyone who's still in the game more than 2 or 3 years, come be my guest. I love hearing about journeys. But for today, I'm very happy to have my good friend Rizz on Market Mama today. Thank you for being here, Rizz.
Oh, well, thank you for having me over.
I met you at BluSky. So we both actually do some coaching and live streaming at BluSky Prop Trading Company. And it's just so cool over there. I really am enjoying the vibe and the energy and the way we all grow together. You were there before me, right? You were there?
Yes,
early
correct. I think I've been there, 8 months now.
Nice.
Yeah,
you're good. You're in the morning, your levels are on point. It's really cool to see how I think it takes a different type of person to be able to trade well in private versus trade well on screen live. That's another level.
Yeah, it's difficult to say the least, especially when you're trading live funds, to keep your composure. And then, it makes you a better trader, I feel, you got to put yourself out there. But, I've heard traders go both ways about the risk to reward on it. Some people say that you shouldn't risk it for the biscuit. Some people say you should. And I think there's a common ground and stuff. And I think once you start streaming and trying to help folks, it kind of brings you into that equilibrium, where you find that balance.
Nice. Okay, so that's where you're at right now. Overview. When did you get started trading? When did you first learn about the markets, first execute your first trade? When was that?
That would probably be, this would be real back. Probably 10, 12 years ago. I used to do a little bit of crypto trading. So that's where I kind of started there. The exchanges were available. There weren't the restrictions that there are now. And I got really interested in it because I was fascinated by how they created a market for it and you could trade it. And I was like, this is a perfect platform for me to have some skin in the game and trade, learn how to trade. I saw the bigger plan. I was like, if I learned how to trade crypto, that means I could trade stocks and options, or stocks at the time. I didn't even know about options at that moment. And I started doing that, and I was having some pretty decent results doing that. And after a while, I was making decent money in some of my trades. I actually had some pretty bangers, but then some of the exchanges started to collapse. So there was exchanges that closed, forfeitures, that you lost your coins, you lost all the money in your wallet, and you were just like, I couldn't account for that in my trading. And my wallets had more money than I was willing to risk to lose just because they're sitting there in the wallet, not even in the market.
Right.
That's something that I can't factor in as a part of my trading. because that doesn't exist in the US stock market or anybody else is teaching you. They don't teach you that, oh, well, now you have to factor in whether this institution is going to just close and you're going to lose your money because they're not backed, and that became a scary reality. And I saw friends of mine that happened to, and I was like, I need to find something else to do because, I found the progression. I was enjoying it. I was running my businesses. So, it was my little part-time thing and I was learning and I was like getting excited about it. And then I stopped because one of the big exchanges, I can't remember which one, closed. And then some of the coins got taken off exchanges. So then I really got spooked. I was like, I don't want to I can't risk that money.
It wasn't a safe market. Like it wasn't trustworthy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't at all. So at that moment there, I decided to take a step back and then I took a little break. One of my good friends that lives here, one of my good friends is a day trader. He was trading the markets while he was running his businesses. And he knew I was doing some crypto trading and he talked to me and he was like, hey bro, you should check this out. I'm trading, stocks and I'm doing options. And I was like, options? What's that? He's like, he gave me this breakdown of it and I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, what? What is that? And, in layman's terms, oh, you could take $7 and turn it into, $1,000 in a day. And I was like, I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
That's something. Yeah. Now that interests me, because I was like, that sounds kind of like what I was doing with crypto. And, he was like, he offered a class to me and a bunch of my friends here in town. So we went to his office. He had a conference room. We sat there for an afternoon, like on a Saturday. And he broke it down and I was like, still like, I have no idea what he's talking about. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. It all sounds Greek to me. So I got you there.
True story, right? True story.
Yeah. So I was like, what am I going to do? So I have this kind of idea of what it kind of works like. And there's leverage there. Okay, I understand that. So I was like, okay, well, let me start doing homework on it. So at that time, I really dove in and I was watching YouTube videos. I was on X. I was going back and forth. Who could I catch on to? And right around that time is when the meme craze started to kick off. So the meme coins like GME and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, so the GME squeeze was going on. I found out about Reddit, got on the interwebs, and then I'm just like, what's Reddit, GME? So found about those guys. And it was just really unorganized. And then I started finding links to Discords. And that was where I was like, ooh, okay. So there's people that are talking in these voice chats and they're having conversations about how to day trade. This is fascinating. This is like Irisy chat. I'm like an old school tech guy. So, this is like the days of like AOL chat, except these people are all like, it's like nowadays. So it's not like the way it was then. Cool. So got in and I found this really cool group. It's called Hell's Trading Floor. And we call it HTF for short. And everybody that was talking about options and stuff like that, there was a ton of analysts there. And I was just like, just taking notes, Googling. I was just Googling, I was like sitting here all day. I was just like, boo, 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 boo. What does this mean? Yeah, exactly. Writing notes, pulling all my ideas together of, okay, now like, what are the questions I need to start asking so that this starts to make sense? Because these are the people, I got lucky. I honestly got lucky because I still haven't seen very many groups that are like that now, that you could just sit there and voice chat where there's like 6 or 7 people all day trading. They're all day trading. And you can be like, okay, so what does this mean? And if I do this, what is the open interest? How does this work? Well, what is the math on that? Oh, okay. And then it's like, okay, I get it now. And then it just started to all click and I was there. And those were like my trade buddies is like HTF, because that's where, that's where I learned. Yeah. That's
where you really blossomed into trading.
Yes. Yeah. I had sold my business in the middle of all that. So I was starting to transition into full-time trading and investing in general and freelancing and other stuff. It was a really interesting journey. The thing that I got frustrated in then was I started getting good at day trading, but then I was like, I'm missing this huge move in the after hour session. the market changed like 6 years ago. There was some market irregularities that we had never had before. So like just news events that never would just happen before. So the market was just really super volatile. Sometimes it would be in these crazy ranges. We didn't have a Santa rally. And I was just like, I gotta do something about this. I need to find a way to make money in the market elsewhere. Where is it? That's when I started to look for futures. That's when I started to, do my research. And I was like, well, I knew that the futures market was there, but nobody was talking about it yet. There weren't really any props yet. So it was more just, I think there was a handful, but they were super expensive back then. The props were like $1,500, $2,000, $5,000 back then. So they were crazy expensive. They weren't nowhere near where they were at now. And they were outside of what I was willing to spend. So I was like, what? And I was like, well, let me just start kind of learning and seeing what's available. And then they started to come in as I started to learn. And it was just like, oh, this is awesome. Then I found the props, and slowly but surely I started to find different brokerages that offered better rates, the cheapest rates, where I could now fund myself and get, have a mixture of props and a mixture of my live funds now, and now it's the accumulation of it all. Cause I trade everything in the intraday, even when I'm in the coaching session, I may not be saying everything I'm trading, but now I'm trading even more than I ever have before. Cause now I'm trading crypto on a crypto exchange. I'm trading options in the day session, and I'm trading futures. So that's been really, really cool, because it's like, now I have this moment of time that I can just sit here with, folks and, really just kind of talk about what I'm seeing, what I'm doing. I wish I could talk more about my other trades, because, I think there's value in those, but unfortunately it's just not the right time and place for those.
Yeah. But I love how your journey evolved, because you got exposure in the crypto back when it was very new. And so it was unstable. But then that it just progressed, you got an interest and you learned this other thing and you learned about something else. And then it grew and you got community around you. And then you realized you needed something more in the after hours. So you looked there. And that's the thing with trading. There's crazy opportunities. I mean, you can find a method of trading that fits every personality, swing trading and long-term investing, or the quick pace of the futures and crypto and day trading and options. So it's awesome that you made it your own and really let it, evolve in time. I feel like if we try and push something too fast and do everything all at once, you're going to probably have problems. But slowly letting it building, smart.
Yeah, definitely. I like how I'm just kind of one of those kind of people. I want to learn all the different areas of it and how I can use it. And especially being an investor, there's a method for everyone to invest. Even now I'm starting to reincorporate buying shares in, in different things. I was holding silver for a little while. I didn't buy options, but I actually bought the silver, held the, stock. And then, once I saw that we were puttering out with 104, 105, I sold it all. It was just like, now it's done. Now it's, now it's a evolution, but it's me growing as a trader, and I really have enjoyed it. It's been a fun journey.
Nice. Okay. So I love your story, but I'm going to pick it a little bit, because was there ever a time where it was really hard, where you felt like, this is stupid, I don't get it, I'm not sure what's going on? Or do you feel like you pieced it together well enough that it was pretty stable?
I feel like I've pieced it enough to where it's stable.
Yeah.
I think the most difficult thing about trading is that it's a solo industry. While we're out there as traders, the folks that are watching this video, you guys are sitting there by yourself at your desk, at your computer, in your home office, on your kitchen table, trying to take those trades, trying to change your life. But there's no one there to tell you or give you the pat on your shoulder and say, hey, you know what? It's okay. You make mistakes. You're human. But it's all about being able to, see that sometimes, you're going to lose a sale. You're going to lose a job. You're going to break up with a partner, things like that. It's just a part of the process. And the sooner you realize that and accept it and don't make it personal, the better off you'll be, because you can't make it personal. It's just a part of business.
I love that point. Like I consume a lot of content out there just to see what else is out there and hear what other people are doing for success. And I just enjoy it because I am fully immersed in the trading world now. Well, I watched some content from the big prop firms and their traders. And it's so interesting for me to compare their experience to mine because being a home retail trader is very different than working in a prop firm where you're in a physical location sitting next to other traders. There is a risk management team and there is like a floor manager and there is the group think and conversations and mid-morning meetings and midday meetings. That experience is so different from being home alone at your computer, like you said. And even if you're in a community, a Discord or something, a group chat, there is some camaraderie with that, but there's more vulnerability and ability to, experience all kinds of emotions with that when you are solo with that. So I think, everyone's journey and experience is different, but I think that is definitely a big difference between what you do when you're just a home trader versus those big prop firms. And they trade big money, but it didn't get there out of nowhere. Like they really are a part of a substantial team and support system, and they have like the risk capital behind that. So it's a very different experience.
Yes, you're absolutely right. You won't find that with the brokerage. So, there is a very different experience that, a trader can have. I think that's a great thing about, where we're at currently. And we're blessed that, we have that community that backs us up. And, we're there to share, our experiences and also, share what we're seeing on the charts and collaborate, discuss, other areas of the markets, what's kind of happening, that's a really great thing, that I think we're building there.
Yeah, I love trading with BluSky. Like when we come on live stream or there's different classes and sessions and stuff, like it's really good to just be like in my neighborhood. I have no idea if there's traders in my neighborhood, in my town where I live, but you can have that on the computer. You can have that in your home, in your office, in your trading experience if you find a group like such as ours at BluSky, because it's like you get good people around you, positive vibes, good energy, information sharing, talking about what you see and why you see it. Like it is stabilizing for your journey, and then you can learn while trading. It's like big picture. It's really valuable, I think, as traders.
Yeah, most definitely. The community and having a trade buddy, things like that, they just add, they're all a piece of the puzzle. They're all a part of the parts that make the machine work, funny as it may be, and they'll help you be a better trader, because those trade friends will encourage you and they'll also sometimes, help guide you and be like, hey, are you sure you want to do that? They might not tell
100%.
you what to do, Yeah, that's a difficult part, is that sometimes you want to be like, hey, whoa, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
It's just what it is,
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever done this. I have done this where I'm like having a rough day and I get real crabby with my trades. If I lose one or two in a row and I'm like starting to tilt, it's a great day when I can catch myself and message my accountability partner and be like dump it out on them that I'm like frustrated and this didn't work and that didn't work. And what's the market doing? And why is it so frustrating? And then they'll be like, okay, so are you out of your office? Did you shut down? Did you go for a walk? Like check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? An accountability partner can actually do that, especially if you have the wherewithal to know that helps and to reach out and say something. We can really like pull each other back and stabilize and remember that there's always another day, another opportunity if you can just control the emotions in that moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's a funny thing that you say that because, especially being in the market, you can see such huge fluctuations in your account and you can't look at it like your bank account. You have to look at it as in a portfolio that you use to leverage that money to make you money. Because if you make it personal, you can't just kind of get past the losing part, because in a day session, for me trading, I can lose 5%, I can go up 20%, I can dip down 35%. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, be up like 75, 80%, and it's just, you just got to ride the wave and understand it's just part of the process. But, you also got to understand is that, how many times is enough that you got to know when you're trading and stuff, that's what makes me somewhat different, and I think us different, is because we're there in the intraday and stuff like that. And so many hours that it's like, it's just becoming more and more natural to be in and out and, get in. Oh, I took a loss. Let me get back in. Let me snip this. Okay. Let me take a little bit more. And then all of a sudden everything is hunky-dory, it's like, like it never happened, Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's getting like, I think I know the answer to this, but like it's getting easier to do that just because of the experience, like literal chart time, all of the years. And then now with BluSky, you're on all the time. So every hour that you stare at the chart, I feel this way that I can start seeing things quicker. I can catch the patterns sooner. And I know a little bit more intuition behind my system where I can get in and out more safely.
Definitely. I think that's probably one of the other most crucial points is that time behind the chair, getting that chart time in, taking notes, paper trading. You've got to do it. You got to put in the time and the effort, because without that, you will not become that superstar trader. You're cheating yourself and you're lying to yourself, and you're going to throw away your money.
Right.
Unfortunately, being a trader is a very difficult thing, and it's an expensive thing to do. And if you're not managing yourself right and not investing in yourself personally for your own personal growth, your trades are going to be very reflective of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's a whole picture that you have to manage, like your whole system and your person and your experience and your journey, and like let it come with time.
To be able to build the recognition of the charts. What are the patterns you're looking for? The time frames, being able to get over the fear that, oh, you're buying here at this low that looks like it's going to break down, but it's going to hold and it's going to pull back up. Being able that takes time. That's not just something that you master, overnight, or, you read it. Oh, I'm never going to do that. I'll never do that, because you know what? The market will teach you very quickly that, yes, you will do.
Market is definitely an educator.
it is, it can, I think that's the beautiful thing about props, is that, they give you that cheap cost of participation, that you can participate, you can get those cash outs and get payouts very quickly without you having to invest tens of thousands of dollars to be in the markets.
Yeah, it's so valuable. When I started trading, it wasn't near as common and it was more expensive. And so I started trading with a real account, just money from our savings account. And that was hard because I wasn't profitable right away, as a lot of traders are not. And so when props started growing, I was like, this makes so much sense.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
grateful.
Because I did the same thing. I was doing options, and options were worse. I was day trading. I was learning to day trade options, zero DTE. So there's no expiration. There's no time. There's no like, oh, I'll hold this until tomorrow. It was like, I was just done at the end of the day. Yeah. It was like super stressful, very difficult. My stress was through the roof. And you know what? It just, sometimes it didn't feel like it was worth the risk to reward, but it took time to finally get to a point now that I can be like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this. And, I'm going to buy, 20 of these, and, yeah, they're end of days, not a big deal.
What's your favorite between options, futures, and crypto, and why?
Crypto.
Okay. Why?
Crypto. Because it takes less money. No, because it takes less money to make more money.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. It takes a lot less money to make way more money in crypto.
So that's good. The R is the best, huh?
You have different mechanisms in crypto that you can 500x the leverage. I can trade the S&P or NASDAQ in crypto, and I can trade it 500x right now.
Yes, please.
With even higher leverage than I would even trade it in futures or options.
Without having to take undue risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and I got no minimum or anything. So I'm sorry.
No, I love that. I haven't gotten as deep into the crypto exchanges as you. So that, I need to take another look.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. For any trader who's like a year or two in and is not yet achieved profitability, what would be your best advice for them?
Lower your risk so you cut your losses. If you have to trade, lower your risk so you reduce your losses. If at all possible, paper trade, simulation trade. It is an invaluable tool. Kobe, Michael Jordan, Mario Andretti, they never said, Coach, I'm not going to practice because I'm too good. That they never existed. So why should it for you?
Yeah, I love that. Plus, I think that it's a very common situation where when you're trading too big of size, your emotions will have too much influence. Because when you start seeing that P&L whipping around and you're worried about your account blowing, you're not going to make strong choices for your trading system. But if you leverage way down or start in sim, then you can actually really grow those skills of pattern recognition and trade execution and trade management and risk management before the pressure feels too heavy. And I think that's a big common error that people do, is leveraging up too soon before their system is really robust enough to support that kind of money. Such a good
Yeah,
point.
definitely. It takes a different mindset to be able to have that, and I always like to tell traders at the very beginning of your journey, you should learn to trade what you can afford to buy. If you can't buy a NASDAQ contract, why are you trying to learn how to trade a NASDAQ contract? Trade MNQ, trade MES, trade, M2K, the mini micro of the Russell. It's super cheap,
Yeah.
$30 a future con, 25 at some other places. That's how
Mm-hmm.
cheap it can get,
Yeah. And
so
you'll learn a skill that can be valuable for the next 3 decades of your life or more. Like by let yourself learn small in a controlled environment where you can really blossom those skills and then grow it. It's really smart.
yeah. I know a lot of traders want to go for the gusto and stuff, but there's a lot of ways that you could actually create a longer tenure in those props. There's traders that there's a lot of people say get through it in 4 days, stuff like that. But that's already, once you've already crossing over, you've already been in the trade props for a while, but at the very beginning, you don't want to blow the account because, you're still learning, you just bought your college textbook, you're at the very beginning stages. Why are you going to get it and then throw it in the trash and be like, I'm going to go buy another one? Don't be that guy.
Yeah. Then you're just going to nickel and dime away with fees before you're really ready to like trade well.
It's discouraging too.
Yeah.
And the last thing you need is discouragement at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You need all the positive reinforcement to help you be the best trader you can at the beginning, because that's all you're going to have. And you need anything you can get at the beginning to keep you motivated, because it's going to be a long journey. You got a long road ahead of you, because even when at that moment, that you think you figured it out, the market will prove you that there's something new that you need to learn.
Yeah. The market cycle then changes. Like if you get really comfortable with the
Yeah,
system that's working, you're rinsing and repeating it, and then the next week it won't work for nothing. Well, she'll do that, Miss Market.
definitely.
She'll change.
And that's the tough thing, it's just like, passing emails and stuff, some guys will get in that, that weekly cycle that, the past 3 days and fail 4, stuff like that, and they're like that every week, and it's just like, are you journaling it? Are you looking at what you're doing? Are you seeing the pattern that you're creating? Now, how do you avoid that?
Right. Plus, like taking the time to call out that there is something off with your system. This is not a sustainable pattern of executions, and looking deep at yourself and figuring out, what do I need to shift? Because, doing that indefinitely is just going to cause yourself pain and not make money. But if you do that for a period and realize you got to change something, ask mentors, ask coaches, like look at yourself, look at your journal and figure it out. Then you can make it matter more and change faster.
Definitely so. I mean, that happens to all of us, I mean, even like me, I was telling you earlier, I'm having to adapt for the midday session, I'm having to change the kind of the course, how to manage my day and what am I going to do? And, are there trades available through the midday chop? How can I find a better optimal trade that, if I do show something on stream, that I show something good and I'm not just, randomly buy, sell, things like that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Like even now when you shifted the hours that you're trading and streaming, and then you had to be like, okay, like we're going to adjust and study more here, see what happens, see what I can find. And then you said it, you like start to see different patterns in different types of the day, because it's a different market than at, market open.
Absolutely. The market always provides, right?
Yes. Plus, I think that's such a better mindset of abundance versus lack, because if you can just know, like, this is what I have today, this is what I'm working with, I wonder what opportunities I can find that really fit within my system and risk tolerance. And then when you come at it with this openness to receive, a good opportunity with patience, then it really is a much more stable and neutral position to look at the markets from.
Definitely. Then I feel that, just like you said, you can look at the trade with a very clear mindset. You're not over leveraged, you're not stressed about it. It becomes a mechanical trade that you're looking for. That's what you're looking for.
Make it your own.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right. One last question, and then if you have anything to add, but what is your favorite part of trading?
I love the big wins.
Feels good.
That's the rewarding part. The risk to reward is very much there. The difficult part at the very beginning is if you get one at the very beginning, it kind of throws you off till, because then you already got it. Now you want more, but you're not ready for it. You still got lots of hurdles you got to get through. And that's the tough part about the market. That's a brutal part. Yeah, exactly. But I love when I kill like some massive trader, or I take something and I'm just like, you know, 2,500% green from a trade. You know, I mean, I love that. You know, that's what I'm here for, you know, me doing it myself without, you know, a team of people that work under my company, me not selling the product, me just sitting here at my keyboard, punching away, you know, looking at a bunch of charts, you know, sometimes pulling my hair out, you know, but hey, you know, enduring and, you know, going through it every day, putting in the work every single day, you know, having my routine that I adhere to.
I love that. Yeah. It's like, I think if you can strive to just trade your best and recognize that many days you're just going to get like base hits, right? And then sometimes you're going to get those home runs and it's like the best. And even the best traders in the world don't hit home runs every day. But to have a system that is repeatable and to know that you can lock in green a lot of the time. And then some days you're just going to find the best setup and put all your leverage on it. It's going to be the best day ever. I love that.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a good feel. All right. Anything you want to add before we let everybody go?
No, just, you know, trade safe, watch your margins and don't marry your bias, you know, stay, stay flexible.
Yeah.
And good luck in the market.
Such a good point. Don't marry your bias, man. Stay flexible and wait for those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Your time will come.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Really appreciate streaming with you and our team at BluSky. And thank you for coming on Market Mamas with me today. Share your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.